Hey everybody, it's B-Nard coming your way with my 6th Pokemon team strategy guide. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the team that I used in battles 75 through 86 of my Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire Wi-Fi battle series. So, we're going to do this the same way we always do. I'm going to talk about everything about the team so that you guys can get an in-depth understanding as to the strategy behind it. So I didn't really divide the team up in any particular order. They're just up there by Pokédex number. So I'm just going to start at the top and run down the list. So I'm going to begin with Venomoth, and Venomoth is modest, trained for special attack and speed, so it is the special sweeper of the team. The ability is Tinted Lens, which powers up all of its not very effective moves. Essentially what that means is if it's attacking an opponent and that attack would normally deal half damage, because of this ability it would then deal full damage, and if its attack would deal quarter damage, it would then deal half damage. So that's obviously very useful because, as you can see, most of his attacks are types that are resisted by a lot of other types. So this ability kind of offsets that handicap, very useful. The item is the Focus Sash, which allows it to survive any attack from full HP and leaves it with 1 HP, which again is very useful for him in battle because this guy is pretty brittle, so usually not going to be able to take too many attacks. The moveset from most to least important, number 1 would have to be Bug Buzz for power coverage, accuracy, stab, and a chance to lower special defense, which is nice. Next up would be Quiver Dance to gain a +1 special attack, special defense, and speed, which is obviously very useful for dealing big damage or sweeping opponents' teams. Next up is Sludge Bomb for more power coverage, accuracy, stab, and a chance to poison, which is great. And finally, we have Giga Drain for some more power coverage, accuracy, and healing. So, very fun Pokemon to use, very underrated, just awesome in battle. So great Pokemon all around. Next up we have Altaria, and Altaria is Adamant, trained for attack and speed, so it is the physical sweeper of the team. The ability is Natural Cure, which heals all status conditions when it switches out, but because of the item, the Altarianite, the Mega Stone, it is also the Mega of the team, so when it Mega Evolves, the ability is going to become Pixelate, which turns all of its normal type moves into fairy type moves and gives them a 33% power boost. And since upon Mega Evolving, this guy becomes a fairy type, it will also get a stab power boost from that too. So very useful there. So the move set from most to least important, number 1 would have to be Return for power coverage, accuracy, and also stab because of the type change, and also the boost from Pixelate makes it very powerful. Next up would be Dragon Dance to gain a +1 attack and speed, so great for setting up to do either big damage or sweep an opponent's team. Next up we have Outrage for more power coverage, accuracy, and stab. It does lock you in and does confuse you after 2 to 3 turns, but often worth it if used at the right time to deal some big damage. And finally, Earthquake for more power coverage and accuracy. So another really awesome Pokemon in battle, and very, very fun to use. So next up we have Empoleon, and Empoleon is modest, trained for HP and special attack, so it is the special tank of the team. The ability is Torrent, basically because it has to be a generic water starter ability. Gives a power boost to its water type moves when its HP is low, so not terribly useful, but again, generic water starter ability. The item is the Leftovers, which gives it some health back at the end of each turn, which is obviously very useful for letting it survive longer in battle. The moveset from most to least important, number 1 would have to be Scald for power coverage, accuracy, stab, and a chance to burn, which is always great. Next up we have Ice Beam for power coverage, accuracy, and a chance to freeze, which would be nice. Then we have Flash Cannon for power coverage, accuracy, stab, and a chance to lower special defense. And finally, Grass Knot for even more power coverage and accuracy. Alright, so next up we have Conkeldurr, and Conkeldurr is Adamant, trained for attack and defense, so it is the physical wall of the team. The ability is Guts, which gives it a 50% attack increase when it has a status condition, which is going to go hand in hand with its item, the Flame Orb, which will burn it at the end of the first turn that it's in battle. So the idea here obviously is the Flame Orb is not only going to inflict a burn to trigger the Guts, which by the way also negates the attack drop that the burn would normally give to the attack stat, but it also protects it from other possibly more harmful status conditions like sleep or freeze or poison. So very useful combination there. The moveset for most to least important, number 1 would have to be Drain Punch for power coverage, accuracy, stab, and healing, which is very useful for him because, again, you are inflicting a burn to yourself with the Flame Orb, so getting HP back any way you can is very valuable for this guy. Next up, I would probably go with Mach Punch for some coverage, accuracy, stab, but most importantly priority, which is great since this guy is pretty slow, so that's very useful for him to have. Next up is Earthquake for power coverage and accuracy, and finally we have Stone Edge for even more power and coverage. Accuracy is a little shaky but still not too bad. So next up is Eelektross, and Eelektross is Adamant, trained for HP and attack, so it is the physical tank of the team. The ability is Levitate because it has to be, but also tremendously useful for him because it gives him the immunity to ground type moves, which would otherwise be its only weakness. So that means it is the only fully evolved Pokemon in the game with no inherent weaknesses, which is obviously very useful in battle. The item is Leftovers, which gives it some HP back at the end of each turn, which is, again, obviously very useful for letting it survive longer in battle. The moveset for most to least important, number 1, I would have to go with Wild Charge for power coverage, accuracy, and stab. Does inflict some recoil damage to you, but usually worth it to deal some big damage to the opponent. Next up, I would have to say would be Drain Punch for power coverage, accuracy, and healing, which is, again, very useful for him being a tank. Then I would probably go with Knockoff for some coverage and accuracy, and also removing the opponent's held item, which can be very useful for this guy to try and outlast other tanks or walls in battle. And finally, we have Fire Punch for more power coverage, accuracy, and a chance to burn, which is always great. And finally, we have Hoopa, more specifically Hoopa Confined form. And Hoopa is Modest, trained for special attack and special defense, so it is the special wall of the team. The ability is Magician because it has to be. Not terribly useful for this version of Hoopa that I'm using because what it does is it takes the opponent's held item when it is hit with a contact move, and if I do not currently have a held item. So as you can see by the set, only one of these moves actually makes contact, so again, not terribly useful, but kind of confined, pun intended, to that ability. The item is the Assault Vest, which gives it a 50% special defense increase in exchange for not being able to use status moves, so that really furthers its role as the special wall of the team. The moveset for most to least important, number 1 would have to be Hyperspace Hole for power coverage, accuracy, stab, and also breaks through protecting moves such as Protect and Detect, so very useful there. Next up would be Shadow Ball for power coverage, accuracy, stab, and a chance to lower special defense, which is nice. Then I would go with Thunderbolt for more power coverage, accuracy, and a chance to paralyze, which is good. And finally, Focus Blast for more power and coverage. Accuracy not the greatest, but still worth using sometimes. So that's pretty much it for this team. I have to say I had a lot of fun using this team. It was very successful in battle, very awesome. I was very proud of it. But as is always the case, to try and keep things fresh here on the channel, I'm going to be putting this team to the side and using a brand new team from this point forward. Little update on that. That new team is almost finished, so I should have it ready to go for you guys pretty soon. So please stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching again, everybody. As always, hope you all enjoyed. Please hit that like button, leave a comment, and or subscribe if you did enjoy, and stay tuned for more new battles in the future. Again, starting next time with a brand new team. So that's it, and we will see you next time.